Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. I am Robert with Sherburne Outdoors, and today we are talking diesel heaters. Kind of exciting. It's getting near diesel heater season. It is September 27, 2025. And today we're talking about the VEVOR 8KW diesel heater. Full disclaimer, VEVOR did send this to me, but if this was the very first diesel heater brand that I tested 5 years ago that I paid for, I paid about $130, and a lot has changed since then. I am going to give this away, so stay tuned towards the end of the video to learn more about that. So I consider this to be the king of budget diesel heaters. It's about $150. Hey, there'll be links and a discount code in the description below. But when I say, king of the budget diesel heaters, there's all kinds of diesel heaters out there. They start at, $89, $100. I did a review on one that I purchased on Amazon last year. I went and found the cheapest one. But then we did ones that were $600 and $700 last year as well that had a lot of features built into it. This, from when I first tested this years ago, where I had to put it together, had to do some things to it. It was really loud. I had to do some things to the exhaust. I actually ended up ripping out the fuel pump because it was just ticking so loud. From where that was to where we are today with this all-in-one unit, I basically pulled it out of the box, put the muffler on, and hit go. We'll get into there's a few things you'll want to do when you're starting these up, but big difference from then to now, and then also amount of tech that's built into this thing. This thing has a great mobile app. It is just a world away from where we went from in the past to what $150 roughly gets you today. So hey, let's hit the specs real quick. This is an 8KW version. It does produce a tremendous amount of heat. We'll do some testing on that. It has an app built in, it has a remote, and then it also has a display on the front. I'm big into the app. The app's nice. You can customize it. You can make it very much you. If you live in America, you can change it to feet and Fahrenheit and that kind of stuff for the altitude modes and just the general stuff. So I like the app. We'll go through that. It does have an integrated CO monitor. This isn't something you see around. I like this a lot. It does come with an extension cable if you want to extend it out and put it into your tent or wherever you're putting this at. And then it does have a 5-liter tank as well. We did some testing on high and low, and we'll come with that. And then it's got AC or DC power. Now we're using the Elite V200 here from Blue Eddy. I use that one. I use the AC 180 a lot. We're gonna get some questions on, hey, this only has a 10 amp input. I've never had any problems with this. It always has run every diesel heater I've ever put on it. So at least for the Blue Eddy brand, not any problems there. It is about 21.6 pounds. It's got these good handles built into it. And again, it's an all-in-one unit. Before we get into kind of walking around, why do you need a diesel heater? So I do get some emails sent to me occasionally on why do you need a diesel heater? What are you doing with this? So usually there's a couple applications. Maybe you want to heat up your garage in the winter and you don't want to run HVAC to it. This is a good low-cost solution. Like I've got a shed back there that I actually do have a diesel heater in the winter that we're doing particular stuff in. And then for me, my main application is I go camping in the winter. I like to go camping when it's super cold. In the teens, I take one of these with me and I am, 60, 70, 80 degrees in the tent. I have to monitor this a little bit and keep it flow down. And it's great. It's just camping and luxurious. No reason to freeze to death. So that's also where the particular mobile app comes in, because you can kind of control everything from your tent. So that is the unit itself. Nothing complex here. Kind of well built, easy to move around. At $150, it is disposable. So if something happens to it, you can just replace it very easily. Let's just talk about the rest of the video, guys. This isn't meant to be a long one. We're going to do a walk around. We're going to look at the mobile app. We're going to start it up from the mobile app. We're going to go through all the different pieces and parts of how this starts up, and then we're going to do some testing on high and low. So from that testing, we're going to look at how much watts is being pulled from the power station. So if you're looking at remote camping, you'll know what kind of capacity you need. Sound, temp, how loud is this thing? How much heat is coming out of the output? We'll hit the exhaust as well. What's the airflow out of here? Fuel consumption. How long will this go on low and how long will this go on high in diesel consumption? This is always a cornerstone of all of my particular videos. And then we'll get into the pros and cons, and then we'll talk about the giveaway in the end, because if you live in the North Georgia area and you want to meet me up, I'm going to just give this to you away. So we'll talk about that. So let's go ahead and do a walk around. All right, so this is a pretty simple unit. It's not very big and it's not very heavy at only 21.6 pounds. If we just start on the side over here, it does have a exhaust that's horizontal and not coming out of the bottom. It does have elevated feet with indentation so that you can actually mount this if you want to. And this is off of here. You can see where I burned this in other videos in the past. But here's your exhaust. Pretty simple, pretty standard muffler that comes out of here as well. I like these handles. They are movable and you can lay them flat. I'm not sure why that's there because you still got the fuel cap here. You have a pretty standard 3-inch exhaust. You have your display here. Here's your CO monitor. It does come unplugged from here if you want to. And it does have an extension cable here. So you can plug that in. I'm not sure the usefulness of this other than being in a room. If I'm in a tent, it's not going to be long enough for that application. But it does come again with, you know, your pieces and parts here. So this is your tubing. You've got a diffuser, got an AC adapter. We're running DC. You got some mounting hardware. And then obviously the manual. Fuel cap, you know what, this is kind of a con. It does have exterior threading. They do say this is leak proof, but I prefer when they have interior threading like of the little higher end brands, and I know we're still in the budget with this. I wouldn't call it an intelligent remote, but you can turn it on, turn it off, and turn it up and down. You got a window here for your 5-liter display. And on the back, you know, these have gotten pretty simple. They used to have a big tube that came out of here for your air intake. Now you just have everything all in one for fans, air intake, everything here and here. And then you got your plug-in here for whether it's DC or if it's AC. So let's talk about the mobile app. This is Bluetooth. It's pretty good. You can see here it's got a pretty simple display. And from here we'll turn everything on, but we'll get it going. But what I want to look at the front, now this doesn't have temperature control or any of that. You just have heater. You got settings 1 through 6. We can play with the plateau or altitude mode if we want to, and it'll just kind of the fuel intake. But we can turn the blower on, we can do things manually, or we can turn the heat on. In the upper right-hand corner, just some simple things. We can do a language switch, or we can do a unit switch. Right now I've got this on Fahrenheit, and we'll turn this to feet as far as what my metric system goes. And then if we want to switch the language or do some timing, where we set up some timers for this thing starts and stops. So if I have this in a stationary place and I want it to start up in my shed every morning at 7 a.m., we could actually configure all of this. So that's kind of stuff in there, an automatic start and stop, and then it's got a user manual. And then inside of here, you know, we can just very simply, if we want to, just click on heating, and we can turn this thing as startup. And it's kicking in now. And that's kind of it. And so I tell you what, we're just going to put this on setting number 1. And hey, listen to this. When you kick this thing up and down, it gives you some noises. I don't know. It's not really that legible, but it's kind of more funny than anything. All right, this thing's going into startup mode now. Hey, by the way, this is the mobile app. It's nothing more than that. You can turn things on, turn things off. You can monitor where you're at, various pieces. It's got altitude in it. You could set that up. And then it's got the ambient temperature outside as well. So let's get into actually the startup mode and go through a couple things. Now, hey, one thing I do want to note before we get into just going through the low and high. When you first start one of these up like we're doing here, I did this recently. Out of the box, this thing's going to have some smoke. So let it burn in there for about 30 minutes. Some of the other models I didn't have to do this with one, but this one I did, and I also did not have to prime it. I just plugged it in, put diesel fuel in it, and let her rip. So you can see a kind of a video here with some of the smoking. Just make sure that you take a moment. That has went away and has never popped up again. So let's get into the startup modes here. All right, you can hear it priming itself. And if we look over here, we're pulling about 100 watts as this is starting up from the base unit upwards, and it is increasing. So let's let it get fired up and let it run for about 10 minutes, and then we'll come and do some measurements on it. And you can really hear this thing ramping up. But even though that's ramping up, you know, our display, we're down to 22 watts here. All right, this has been running for about 10 minutes. If we look here, we're pulling anywhere from 9 watts all the way up. Sometimes I'm seeing 20, but it's kind of stationary right there. It's pretty static. And now we're down to 6, 9. It seems to be fluctuating somewhere in that, but it seems to be less than 10. Every now and then I'll see a quick spike, but for the most part, we're there. You know, the only thing I have really negative to say here is the sound. If we just kind of get close, there is a slight ticking noise. It's not a lot, but it is a little bit. I've seen some other models, a little bit more money, but they don't have any sound. But if we just get really close with our mic, you can hear it. But if you get further back, like we're a little bit further back here, can't hear it at all. So it's not significant. It is there. You know, if you're going to sleep next to this thing, be aware of that. And then the other part is you can feel it in the surface. You can actually feel the ticking. So if you're going to have this sitting on the back deck of your truck and you have the ducting here going up into your, say, rooftop tent like I do, just be aware you may want to put this on the ground so you don't feel the ticking that it has. But other than that, it's not too loud. These things used to be really, really loud. But since we're talking about sound, let's just turn on our decibel reading and let's just do a quick sound check. So guys, we're in the high 50s. This is really quiet. I'm pretty impressed. If we look at how much heat we have coming out of here, you know, we're in the, I don't know, upwards like 215, 200, 225, somewhere in there. So let's call it 2 to 225. If we hit our exhaust here, this is a shiny surface. Do be aware it is hot, so we're about 140-ish, and then our muffler a little bit further back, about 100. One thing I do want to note here is I can put my hands all over this. So the surface of this is not hot. It's actually quite cool. Especially over here, I thought it would be warmer, but it's not. And how much air is coming out of this thing? So, we are about 20 miles an hour. Not too bad. So the last test that we did was how long would this last on one 5-liter tank of diesel fuel, and it went 31 hours and 5 minutes. So that is pretty good. That 31 hours will, I don't know how many nights you'll get out of that, maybe 3.5 if you're camping. Not bad. So let's flip this around. Let's turn this up to high, and let's see how long it'll go. And on high, we're talking level 6. So we've been on level 1. So I know we were using the mobile app before. We'll just kind of use this right here, and it talks to me. So now we're on setting 6. We're gonna let this thing kick in. We'll check back in 10 minutes. All right, we've been running about 10 minutes now, and we're pulling anywhere from 25 to 28 watts coming in. It lets me know my internal shell temperature, like around where the grating stuff is, at 446 degrees Fahrenheit. It has warmed up just a little bit. Can't really feel it much over there, but on this side, there is a little heat, not a lot. The ticking, although I'm sure it is still there, and if I put my hand on the table, I can feel it, and I can feel it pretty heavily if I put it right here. So again, if you're camping, maybe don't put this on the tailgate if you're using it on a truck. Just put it on the ground. If we look at our sound, where we're at, it's pretty good. We're in the mid 60s, 66, 67. Let's do a couple temperature readings. So if we hit our, right in here, we are at 270, somewhere in there, 260, 270. So pretty warm, and I'll tell you, it feels really warm here too. Now this is heated up quite a bit. We're in the 170s, somewhere up in there, so be careful of the exhaust as always. Now this is shiny, but it has gone up to about 120. And again, if I put my hands around this, I can put it all over it, but it has gotten a lot warmer. And then as far as our airflow goes, you know, this thing's pumping out. So we're at 33 miles an hour. So yeah, a lot of airflow there. All right, that was a good test on high and low. You know, a lot of different readings came out of that. Again, getting back to the fuel consumption, on low we went 31 hours and 5 minutes. On high we maxed out, we went 13 hours and 54 minutes. So pretty good for what I would see. If we look at the pros of this, obviously the price around $150 is a big pro. You know, I still believe that makes this the king of the budget diesel heaters, just period, with the tech that's built into that. A lot of technology, love the app. I'm a big believer in the app. Sound, I'm going to put this as a pro, even though there is a slight tick on low. For the most part, you can't hear it. The CO monitor, I like that a lot. Again, I do recommend having a second one. And then easy setup. Other than maybe some of the smoking, which was just that one time as it's breaking in, I didn't do anything. There was no priming. There was no looking at error codes. Just was, boom, set up. Some of the cons, you know what? I really wish they had an automotive grade fuel cap. I do move this thing around. I know they say it's leak proof. I always find these things have some type of leak in them. I have to tape them up and stuff. So that's one. And the other thing, you know, even though this was a pro, this is kind of a con too, is the ticking. There is some ticking in here. I've tested several other manufacturers. They're a lot more expensive, but they didn't have ticking. There is some ticking here. You can hear it. So anyway, all in all, this is a really good unit. I am so impressed from when I first tested this many years ago to where VEVOR has taken this unit today. So great job, VEVOR. Looking forward to seeing what's coming in the future. But again, this is $150. There's information on how to purchase this in the description below. There's a discount code there. And there's usually some discounts on VEVOR's website as well. So let's talk about the giveaway. If you live in the North Georgia area or you want to meet me in North Georgia, I'm going to give this away. Just send your contact information to robert@SherburneOutdoors.com. You can see the thing here. I also have it in the description below. I'm going to do a random drawing. I'm going to give this away on October 31. That'll be the date we pick a winner. And if that goes pretty well, maybe I'll ask VEVOR if they'll send me another one and we'll give it away too. So again, we're going to do a free giveaway, robert@SherburneOutdoors.com. And again, if you want to purchase this, all the information is in the description below. It's about $150 with some discount codes that you can get even cheaper than that. And again, this is the VEVOR 8KW diesel heater for 2025. Hey, if you got any value out of this, please click that like button. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click that bell to be notified when we got new content out. Again, I am Robert from Sherburne Outdoors. Thank you so much for sitting through this. I know it was quite a bit of time. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. Everybody have a great day.